Hey everybody. It's good to be streaming again. It's been a while. I have been working really, really hard for the past while on doing a lot of math, a lot of balance. Let's see if this is working. There it is. All right, we got chat working too. Good to see you, Joseph. Hey, Lath. Lewis. Hey, good to see you, Edward. Chaz. Okay, so what I've been working on for the past long while. So lots of edits, lots of art. So when I say that, this is what I've been working on, it's not just that, but um, so the first printing of the Nimble books, got an ink pen in there. The first printing of the Nimble books, there were a few thousand. The second printing is going to be tens of thousands. So I want to make sure that you guys can hear me, right? I wanted to make sure that that they are as good as they can be. So when I initially ran the previous campaign, the one on BackerKit, I didn't plan on them actually being books. I planned on them just being like zines, like a step above. And then on this most recent thing, I expected to just hit reprint on the initial 3 books, and then like most of my time would just be spent on the new content. That said, I want to make everything as good as it can be. I don't want to just ship something just because it's easier. It would have saved me weeks and weeks, hundreds and hundreds of hours of work to just hit ship, reprint on these books. And it would have been fine. It still would have worked just as well as it worked in the first printing, but I wouldn't have been happy with that, I don't think. So I wanted to walk you guys through what I've been working on. So let me see if I can pull it up just to sort of show you guys. Where is it? How do I do all of the math and all of the balancing and all of everything? I've got tons and tons and tons of these kinds of spreadsheets where I will manually go in and test things. I will model things. I've got the different damage dice and what size and what they average out to with normal and disadvantage and advantage and all of these different things. And I've modeled like every single ability against other abilities and different permutations of what different kinds of Thunder Gauntlets might be and across the action. So I've modeled all of these things painstakingly. And that has gotten me in a very, very good ballpark. And this is one of many spreadsheets where I have been modeling things and making sure things are balanced and look good and feel good and are fun to play and don't take forever. So up until this was my process. But my brother-in-law showed me some cool tools where I could create a battle simulator that, and also when I'm doing the manual modeling, I will take my box of dice here and I will just run a combat or a scenario with myself at the table just to sort of see how it feels also, and not just looking at averages, because that matters a lot. But I was able to get I was able to basically over the past week or so, I've been able to, a couple weeks now, I think, I was able to develop a just vibe coding and stuff, a battle simulator. And I have had it ingest. I've ingested like all of the cool rules, a lot of playtesting, and I've been able to run millions, I think at this point, at least hundreds of thousands of Monte Carlo simulations of different party compositions, monster budgets, monsters, equal level, different level, range, terrain, all sorts of really cool things. What if we choose this class and that class, or this subclass, not that subclass? And what impact does it have on this and this? And I've been able to model things um, programmatically that I could never have been able to do realistically with spreadsheets. So I've been working on a lot of that stuff, and I want to show you some of the findings. I want to walk you guys through millions and millions. Yeah, I want to walk you guys through where we are so far. So this is the this is just a tool just for me. So it's not something that I think would be terribly helpful for other people. But it's just a tool for me to play test and stuff. And then all of the tables and results and findings, that is going to be inside the creators kit. Is I think going to double in size with all the tables and findings and the whys and hows and the math behind everything. So it's definitely not going to be the GM guide. GM guide is what you need to run the game. The creators kit is going to have all the noodly stuff in the back end that to make stuff for the game, to tinker with the game. So I just to sort of head off that. Okay, so this is basically the current or somewhat recent changelog as of yesterday night, or this morning. I was up at 2 a.m. Working on this. Yeah, I made a few tweaks since then. Okay, so you guys already know about armor. The hero stat is now called defense, just to make things make a little bit more sense, since some, like a Zephyr, doesn't really have armor, but they are fast, or a cheat is fast, and they sort of get out of the way. Okay, so armor is defense. It just makes, almost all of these are quality of life changes. Some of them are balance changes that I was able to spot outliers, and I'll get to what all this means in a second. I was able to spot outliers and bring them into line where I wanted them to be. Monster armor, again, has already been updated. Vulnerability resistance, you guys already know about that. Combat rules, help has been clarified once per round. So just a lot of clarifications in this kind of thing. Moving through occupied spaces has been tweaked just slightly, so that it's more tactile and not, you can just ignore people who are in your way. More on that in a second. Every ability that mentioned forced movement, like knockback. But if it's a large creature, you knock them back half as much. But if they're smaller than you, then you knock them back twice as far. So all of that, instead of having that spread throughout a dozen different abilities, it has all been made just one global rule, so we don't have to keep repeating that. So same idea already, that was already there, but it's just been made much more efficient and easier to digest. Codified that grapplers can move when they're grappling someone. Assess and hiding, they have both been brought into alignment with other saves and skill checks to 10. 10 is a success, typically. Same with when you make your strength save for concentration or for when you're dying. So just make it more consistent. The goal isn't for it to be punishing. The goal is for you to have a chance to fail, which makes it interesting and not sure. Minions, smoldering. So just lots of sort of little things we've made, and I'll be making this public, of course. The Great Maul and Great Sword dice have swapped. It felt like it would make a little bit more sense that a Great Maul would crit more often. It would be better against, it's big and heavy and slow. It makes sense that it would crit more often, particularly versus armor. It would be better against heavy armor. And the Great Sword is now a big D12 weapon. So just swap those. But if you like it how it was, you can feel free to reflavor it how you like. Short Spear added, or Spear is added, and the Great Spear is taking its place. So just a handy piercing weapon for low levels that doesn't cost as much as the Great Spear. Triage kit. This was someone's idea. I forget who, but someone on the Discord. Thank you for this. This is a cool idea. Heals a wound during a field rest. So, but it takes up an inventory slot. Armor tables, again, relabeled from armor to defense. Conditions, clarify that conditions don't stack. Silence is a new condition that is added. Just a cool little design knob. If you're silenced, you can't shout commands or use magic or different things. Yeah, Mike is gonna be happy. Bloody, Charm, Wounded. They've been moved to the glossary since they're not really common conditions that are used and referenced by the players. Ancestries, some of the ancestries have been tweaked. Once per day has been changed to different things, just to make everything a little bit more standardized. Backgrounds, some of them have been made more useful. Excuse me. Hey, kid. Charmander, hey. Yes, yes, they'll be made available. If I could, I would ship new books to everybody, but the PDFs will be made available. I think the same way that you purchased it should be available the same way. Not yet, but once everything is ready. If you have if you're already a backer on Hive and you have the core rules there, then I've already put the latest version in the Hive Dropbox link. It's once per. It's that's a good question. So initially for the triage kit, it was once you use this, you can't use it again. You can't benefit from a triage kit until you next safe rest. So it might be that, or it might just be limited by the number of inventory slots that you have. I think that might be cool also because it costs gold and inventory slots, so you can't just carry infinite of them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm looking for feedback on that, but I think having some way to fix that might be interesting to give players a little bit more longevity out on the field. Okay, so spell changes have been pretty sizable. All of the spells have remained in spirit the same thing, but there were some spells. There was one spell in particular that was secretly like 1.5 miles better than every other spell and skill that you could ever do. And nobody really saw it. Maybe some people saw it, but nobody did. So that's something that I want to fix. There are other spells that sounded really cool, but when simulated, when actually running in a game, it was every time you cast a spell, your chances of losing always go up. So that was not something that I wanted to have happen. I didn't want any trap spells. So how I thought about it was S tier was why you choose this class or subclass. Like this is like the awesome thing, right? So that's like an S tier ability. This is a Berserker's Fury dice. This is the Cheat's Vicious Opportunist. Like really cool, iconic thing. This is a really big thing. A tier, often used, very good in many situations. And then B through C tier is good. Good depending on the situation. D is rarely ever useful. And then F is never used. Or a trap option. Okay, so this is how I'm thinking about things as I'm going through. I want key iconic class abilities to be S tier. I want subclass abilities to be A tier, A or S tier, depending. Some of this is up to you. And I want most abilities to be B to C tier. I don't want the best ability that I use this to the exclusion of this other thing. So I don't want that. What I want is, ooh, this is a cool ability in this situation. And these abilities are good in this situation, but it's not as good in this other situation. And I want you to be able to choose amongst maybe not perfectly equal good options, but I want you to choose amongst good options. Not like 12 good options or 20 good options. That's too many. There's analysis paralysis, right? But I want you to have in any given situation a handful of useful options that, ooh, okay, because the situation changed, I was going to do this, but now I can do that, right? So this is my goal. B and C tier is where the interesting things happen. S and A tier, that's where like the really cool stuff happen, but interesting choices happen in B to C tier. So don't discount B to C tier. I want to have few to none D tier and absolutely no F tier, okay? And no S plus tier, like nothing where, so S tier isn't something that you choose, like you get it. You just get it for your class. like regaining mana for the mage is very, very good. Being able to interpose for free for the Oathsworn and getting the Judgment Dice, like you don't choose, you just get that for free for picking this class, that kind of thing. So I don't want anything S tier where you can pick this or this. There's this C tier thing, but there's this S tier thing here that you could pick because you'll always sort of pick the good one. So that's how I'm thinking about these things. So some spells were F tier, and some spells were S plus tier, and I didn't want that. So let's talk about spells. So Heart's Fire is now limited to once per round. Because I wanted to prevent the optimal but unfun play pattern of I'm a mage and I am merely an action battery for a more powerful hero. I didn't want that. I think if someone wanted to play that way, they can just ignore the once per round rule, and that's fine. But I want the mage to actually play their turn. And then the range has increased as well. So it was +1 every 5 levels, and now it's +2. Enchant Weapon needed a little bit of love, and now it's reach 8 instead of touch. So if it's touch, then you can basically only cast this on the first round of combat, and then generally going to have 1 or 2 actions on the first round of combat. And then if I cast Enchant Weapon, then I can't cast another like cool spell that I would want to cast. So giving it a reach once we've figured out how this combat is shaking out gives it a little bit more flexibility, but Enchant Weapon is a very powerful ability in the right situation. Flame Barrier. Flame Barrier was very bad. The original printing was very bad. It was very thematic and interesting, but when compared to Ice, Frost Shield, Flame Barrier was always worse. I think in almost every situation, it was worse. So it's been improved. Now it is like when you're attacked, it is an AoE. So damage and smoldering now hits all creatures within reach 1. And it's each time you're attacked, all creatures that are adjacent to you, they all take this damage, and you can upcast it to deal more damage or increase the reach of it. In the fire spells, they no longer ignore armor since monster armor was tweaked. Fire just deals with armor by dealing more damage. It's basically how fire deals with that. Pyroclasm, and again, no longer ignores armor, but the upcast was improved to be +1 reach, and it was +1 reach, +2 damage, and now you gain advantage and +1 reach. So advantage with d20s is huge, especially if you're rolling 2 d20s. So upcasting this once or twice is going to greatly increase your damage, and it's going to eliminate it's going to reduce the odds of like rolling a 2 and a 3 on your big d20 on your big tier 3 spell, right? You're spending a bunch of actions and a bunch of mana to cast Pyroclasm, and you deal 5 damage. Like, so making it more consistently solid rolls and less math. Fire Embrace now grants now it's again likewise more flexible, increased reach. Dragon Form just cleaned up. Instead of having a fixed DC, the DC is set based upon the hero's DC. So wherever we don't need these exceptions and weird things like that you have to remember, then we can let's just limit it and just use things that we already have. Crowd Sleep, the sleep save is now will. So like if you have strong willpower, strong force of personality, someone can't lull you into sleep. But if you're strong, like the strong people are a lot of times the ones who are first ones to fall asleep. The Arctic Blast was tweaked to be only there was this rider of already hampered creature or incapacitated. It just removed that, and now it's just how does it read? 4d6 plus 10, the area is difficult terrain. Survivors are restrained, so they're restrained. They're frozen in place on a failed strength save. Okay, just small wording changes. Okay, Zap. Zap was a big change because it is an incredibly powerful cantrip, but at levels 5 and above, basically the times that it is cast go to 0. Because taking 6 damage plus 1d, taking basically 12 damage or more whenever you miss with this cantrip, you just use other cantrips. So the miss self-damage no longer scales. The high-level scaling has been reduced to +4 damage per 5 levels, so it was +6 damage every 5 levels. But now, if you miss, I'll just show you instead of trying to describe it. Now it's high levels on hit, +4 damage every 5 levels. Okay, so if you miss, you know, when you're low level, you miss, you take a little bit of damage. When you're high level, you miss, you take a little bit of damage. So you shouldn't be overly punished for using this spell. It should be a minor drawback and not a reason for you to never cast this spell. Alacrity was reworked to be more useful also. Again, compared to Frost Shield. Frost Shield is OP. Frost Shield is great. It is like the reason to pick Ice. The Ice School is very, very good. But compared to Frost Shield, Alacrity was quite weak. So Alacrity has been reduced from 1 action to 0 actions. So it is a free in terms of it costs no actions. You can teleport. Okay, and this feels very very lightning school. You can teleport up to your speed and you just gain charged. You can still cast it while defending. So if like there's a big guy coming and there's a bunch of monsters coming to attack you this round, after the first hit, you can still teleport away behind the back line to safety, and everybody else has to attack someone else. So you can still use it to get away to safety in the situation where there are multiple monsters attacking you. But you can also use it now. It has the utility of where you can. This is one of my favorite things. You can, like, if you're here and there's a bunch of monsters, where you can teleport into reach of them and then cast your big AoE spell, or even like a small AoE spell like Overload. You can basically dive into danger and then overload and then blow up a bunch of guys, which I think feels really cool. It lets you line up your AoEs and your lines and cones and all that kind of stuff more easily. Because having 2 or 3 actions at the start of your turn is sometimes very, very hard to do. And having this be a more useful utility spell, I think, is super duper cool. Ride the Lightning, reduced from 3 to 2. Wind, a lot of updates to the Wind spell school. Razor Wind is now, you can choose, you can roll with advantage or damage one adjacent target. And then the high levels was increased from 2 to 3, so that it continues to scale much more nicely with other spells at higher levels. That this was needed to keep it up to date with other cantrips. Breath of Life was made a lot more interesting. It now heals 1d4 hit points instead of just 1, and if they're healed for 4 or more, they also regain 1 action. And then at high levels, so if you roll a 4 at level 1, I'm going to use this cantrip, and you can heal 1, 2, 3. But if you roll a 4, they heal 4 hit points, and they regain one of the actions that they lost from dying. So I think that's a really cool way to do it. Also because at higher levels, at level 5 and level 10, you're guaranteed to heal them. You can heal from further away, but you're guaranteed to return 1 action back to them. Really, really powerful, and it makes it more useful throughout the level curve, which I very much like and I very much appreciate. Blustery Gale knockback was simplified to flat 2 spaces, and then all the scaling and stuff was moved. Like, if you're large, it does this. If you're small, it does that. That's been moved to the general force movement rule. Barrier of Wind has been reworked substantially. Barrier of Wind was, again, when compared to Frost Shield, it didn't have a niche. Rolling, making ranged attacks roll disadvantage. I even tested rolling with disadvantage 2, or forcing the attack that triggered it to be re-rolled with disadvantage or disadvantage 2. It still didn't really give you. It didn't have a niche when compared to Frost Shield, and it costing 1 more mana than Frost Shield. I wanted each one of these defensive spells to have its own niche where it was better in some circumstances. Frost Shield is like, it's good across the board. There are certain circumstances where Barrier of Wind or Flame Barrier or some of these others are better, Alacrity. But Barrier Wind didn't have that. So now it is a ranged attacks deal half damage versus you this round, and you can upcast it to include creatures within reach 1. So you can increase the reach of this thing to shield your allies, reach 1, reach 2, reach 3. So that's the idea there. So it permanently it is always a useful thing, a useful option to have when you are when you're facing ranged attacks. Fly has been made more useful. So fly has always been a very useful spell, and I've got new art and stuff. And so, some of this art is temporary, but I've got new art throughout as well. Fly was always a useful thing to have. Um, in just like role playing encounters or in exploration and like when out of combat, but there wasn't really a reason to cast fly in combat. But now there is. It's been reduced to one action. I think it was two actions. I'm not sure. I don't recall. But anyway, you can grant a creature flying speed, but they can also move key spaces for free on their turn. I'm just checking. Fly. No, it's still one action. But you can. So if someone is able to fly, then they it makes sense that they're a lot more mobile than they were when they're trying to hoof it with pushing with their feet against the dirt. So giving that little bit of additional utility, I think, is really helpful. Let's see what other spells. Updraft. Updraft was one of those spells that was it felt really cool. It sounded really cool in development. Being able to yeet someone out into the stratosphere because they failed the dex save 50 times. It was a really cool spell, a cool idea. But when it came down to it, for costing 2 or 3 actions, I think it cost 3 actions. 3 actions. It cost 3 actions and 5 mana. It was the worst spell in the game. It was the worst spell in the game. And out of every spell or ability in the game, it took the longest to resolve. So it was like it was a F minus. So it was reduced from 3 to 2 actions. And it was that enemies, they repeat this dex save until they succeed, and then they're going to take some number of falling damage, and then they land prone. Like, it's a really cool sounding ability, a really cool sounding spell. So we kept that same flavor, the same goal of it, but just sort of streamlined it and made it actually useful as a crowd control spell and not so much as a damaging spell. We made it more, gave it more utility, made it more useful. So it's the same kind of idea. This spell still does the same thing in the fantasy, but it's much more useful mechanically, and it helps you in combat in a really interesting way. So it's something that you would actually want to cast in certain circumstances. So now it's 2 actions, and it just deals 20 damage, and then any creatures in the area, they're going to make a dex save, and they will take 20 damage minus their dex save. So it's not a ton of damage. It's enough to clear out a whole bunch of minions, of course. But on 10 or more damage, the creatures land prone and dazed. So just prone isn't really enough to make it useful because monsters could just stand up and move for free. It doesn't really cost them an action. So we did really need something a little bit more for it to be a useful spell when compared to other options that a player had. And the upcast might seem a little bit weak, but when you think about it, it's plus 2 damage, and that also means essentially plus 2 DC. So as long as you, so if in the normal cast, if they roll 10 or higher on their dex save, then they're not knocked prone or dazed. But if you upcast it once, now they have to roll a 12 or higher, or a 14 or higher, or 16 or higher, or you can just make it so that they can only save if they roll a natural 20. So it's a really strong crowd control ability now. It's still, it's still like they go up and then they fall down. It still does the same thing, just much more quickly. And it's less fiddly to do. So again, same idea, much better value, quicker to resolve. Radiant. Let's talk about Radiant. Rebuke. There was a pretty, I don't want to say degenerate, but very strong combo with Rebuke and Withering Touch that I liked, but it was too good in that it was edging out other options that were also good, and it sort of became like the correct thing to do. So I did remove the Does Not Miss. It was just too powerful as a third attack, for instance. So it's still powerful versus undead, versus cover, and versus armored foes, but now it's not just the thing that you always have to do. So it still does. So I initially did tweak it down to be +1 damage every 5 levels to compensate for that, but it ignores armor. It still deals double damage against all these different things. So still very powerful in the situations where you do want to use it. True Strike reach increased from I think 2 to 4, just to give a little bit more wiggle room there. 4, 5. I think this should be 2 here. Um, and I'll just copy this. Just because most things are even. Warding Bond. This was competing with Updraft for the worst spell in the game. It was 1 action, and it lasted a minute, and the ward took half damage, and you take the other half. And then you upcast it to ward multiple creatures at once. But the problem was with Warding Bond was that the Oathsworn in simulations, Oathsworn would cast Warding Bond on someone, and in any battle where Warding Bond was cast, the odds of winning went down and the odds of TPK went up. Because the Oathsworn, if he ever goes down, which he would sometimes, whenever the ward would take damage, he had no way to end it. So it wasn't concentration. So he would just continue to take damage. He would continue to take wounds, and he would just die. So they're not good. So now it costs 0 actions, and it requires concentration. This might seem like a negative, but it's actually a very, very big positive because you don't want this to continue if you gain the dying condition. And it also grants a small damage reduction for the ward as well as for the Oathsworn. So if your ward is attacked for 10, if the ward is attacked for 10, you'll subtract 2 and then cut it in half. I think that's how it's phrased. It's that way or the other way around. So half damage minus 2. So you take 5. So you half damage and then subtract 2. So you'd only take 3. So you would take 3, and the Oathsworn or whoever casts this would take 3. So it's rather than just moving the damage around, it's actually mitigating some small amount of damage. So it has use beyond just spreading damage around, which the Oathsworn was already good at doing with interposing. But it has additional utility. It's a little bit less punishing. So it was very, very punishing and always a bad thing to do, or very nearly always, like maybe 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000. It helped. But now with this, it is subtly very, very powerful. It's not a big change, but and then you upcast it to increase the damage reduction. So you take half damage and then subtract 2, and then the Oathsworn or whoever else, the Shepherd, takes that same amount of damage. So you both benefit from the damage reduction. Shield of Justice had the opposite problem. This, if you didn't guess, this was the best spell in the game. Bar none, if you could cast it, you would always cast this spell. Pretty much. There may be some edge cases there, but this was like, SSS plus. It was reflect radiant damage equal to the amount your defend blocked. And with an Oathsworn that had like 20, 30, 40 defense, that's like an 80 hit point damage swing with for 1 defend and 3 mana. Way too good, and surprisingly, not many people will. At least I hadn't heard many people abusing this spell. And initially, it was it granted, so in a previous version before print, it granted you 10 armor, and it did this stuff. And then in playtesting, okay, like granting 10 armor and doing this was too much. So we got rid of that, and you can upcast it to increase your armor. But even in the nerfed printed version in the books, it was far and away, miles and miles ahead, the best spell. So it's been tweaked. Shield of Justice is now still, you cast it while defending. And it should be 0 actions since you're already using. And I'm glad I'm going through this now, spotting some of these things. Oh, so it's something that you cast. So it costs 3 mana while you're defending. So it's not an additional action. So that part hasn't changed. But enemies who attack you this round are blind until the end of their next turn, and you deal damage back, ignoring armor, equal to the damage you take. So if you're attacked for 50 and you have 30 armor, you take 20 damage, and they take 20 damage, and they're blinded. And any other enemy who attacks you this round is also blinded and takes however much damage that you take. So it's still incredibly powerful, but it's like A tier now, or A minus, A or B tier, rather than triple S plus. right? And then you can upcast it to either increase the damage or increase the defense. So blind is very powerful, but it's also now useful. So like if I'm a Songweaver, I've only got 8 defense. This is still a very useful spell for me to cast, because my defense is so low. That means I'm going to deal more damage with this spell. So it's good across the board. It's still very, very strong for Oathsworns and Shepherds, but it's also good for Songweavers and Stormshifters and some of these other classes that can get it. That can pick a Radiant spell through a subclass or other means. So Shield of Justice was way too good. It broke the game. But again, we're keeping the same feel, but tweaking it so that it's an option and not the option, or never an option. These wordings were just tweaked a little bit. Entice has been buffed a bit. From range 8 to range 12. So you can entice from further away. There's a reason for that. And the damage has been increased from just the flat die to a D4 plus key, or whatever damage die plus key. So you're able to add that. It still ignores armor, and it pulls you in. It pulls the target in primary die spaces. So if you roll a 2 on your D4, it still pulls in 2. If you roll a 6 on your D6 when you're level 5, it pulls in 6. So it's able to do a lot more forced movement. Not in the sense that it deals extra damage, but it allows you to manipulate the battlefield in a lot more powerful ways. The point of using this is not the damage, but the damage was so low that it was almost negligible. It was just like a rounding error. But adding your key to this makes it deal at least a respectable amount of damage. It's like on the lower end of the damage, but it's not the lowest by far, which it was. And also pulling an enemy close to you, like 10 spaces on a D12. That's cool, but it's also scary if you're a spellcaster casting this and you're pulling this dangerous enemy closer to you. I hope you have a plan in mind. So Shadow Trap has also been tweaked. It was a very powerful spell, but any spell that you have to set up and you don't get immediate payoff is just inherently worth less than a spell that gives you an immediate payoff. So it was dropped from 2 actions down to 1. I think that might be the only tweak that we needed to make to this to make it more interesting. So now you can more reliably Shadow Trap and then Entice in 1 turn, whereas when this costs 2 actions, this costs 1 action and only move them a tiny bit. It was a theoretical combo and not really an actual combo. Or you can Entice and then Withering Touch, or Entice or Shadow Trap and Entice and then Withering Touch all in 1 turn. Like huge damage, you're manipulating them and doing all this sort of cool stuff, and it feels cool, all of these things combo together. But all these buffs, they don't make it so good to where you always want to cast it, but this is like, ooh, this is a live option. This is very much a live option. Greater Shadow has been removed. It's been moved to be only a Shadowmancer ability. Other classes are able to summon shadow. Like other classes being able to do that didn't seem right, and having to reference some other class ability to figure out how these shadow monsters worked, and it just didn't seem right that some shepherd or some mage could summon a greater shadow better than the Shadowmancer's minions. Like it didn't feel right. So that has been moved to a Shadowmancer only ability. And it's been replaced with this ability, Vigor Mortis, which in testing, the testing basically bore out that Vigor Mortis is the best spell in the Necrotic school for what it does. It is an incredibly strong ability. So it's 1 action. It's castable. It's a reaction. So castable only when an ally drops to 0 hit points. And I have been tweaking. I don't know if you see. I've been tweaking some of the layout stuff to make it more clear about the things that I need to know now, the things that I can read later. I've been sort of separating things out into more bite-sized chunks and calling out when you can cast things just a little bit better, so that it reads a lot more easily. So Vigor Mortis, reach 8, concentration. So when an ally drops 0 hit points, you can cast this spell. Their max actions do not change. They skip the strength saves to act, and taking damage while dying causes 1 fewer wounds to a minimum of 1. So it's normally 2, or it's 3 on a crit, so it's 2 or 1. Okay. So, and if you upcast it, it gives them temp HP on top of that also. And if you're playing with Shadowmancer, then they're always upcasting this, depending on what level they are. So a very cool utility spell. It's not a utility, it's a cantrip, but it's a very cool spell with a huge amounts of utility. You can only cast it on an ally. And it has just a sweet name. I think someone in one of the streams helped me with the name. Really, really love the name. But it's very, very powerful ability. Necrotic didn't need more. It didn't need more more damaging spells. It needed a little bit more utility. And this gives it that. Dread Visage was reworded and clarified. Works the same though. Vampiric Greed is tweaked ever so slightly. But that was essentially it for Necrotic. Creeping Death. Upcast was changed. It was plus 1d20 to upcast, but it's just changed to plus 10 damage to make it faster to actually run. But it's the same net effect. On average, it's going to be 10 damage. It's just a little bit less mathy. A few optional rules were added. Abstract Distances, retuned. We removed large group rules because that was stupid. Added Blaze of Glory, Mighty Healing. Guidance on simpler characters, level 0 funnels, dramatic living. A bunch of optional rules have been added. Tons of new art throughout. A few more key frequently asked questions, and then a much more complete glossary. Much more complete glossary. So those are the updates so far to the in consistency wise. Like for instance, like Wand of Firestep. This was Wand of Firestep, but this has been fixed, and I don't know how many editors went through this book and didn't catch that, but I've been making editing passes and stuff as well. So consistency wise throughout, things have been improved. New art here and there. Let me see if there's anything else. There's a few other like minor tweaks. So we got new Bun art. The artist who did the initial print run was sort of giving me a hard time about, oh, you can only print it so many times and this, and like, I don't want to have to track licensing things, and so I had a new artist do a new Bun piece, which I like. So in any like I've got, I don't know, maybe 1,000 pieces of art and dozens and dozens of different artists. There's just no way that I as an individual could track how and when and how many times I could use this and like all of that. I can't. So almost every artist just says like, yeah, pay me some money, you can use it, or pay me some money and I'll draw it and use it however you like. Yeah, okay, so that is core rules, everybody. That is core rules. And I'm tweaking, I'm thinking of like a slightly tweaked Nimble logo, the N a little bit bigger, the I, and it's a little bit pixely here, but the I like a little flame. Just, I don't know, like this one is still a work in progress, but I like having it just a little bit more personality than how it was initially. So these words here, the subtitle is a little bit small, and this is just a little bit plain. I like how clean it is. I like the angle, makes it feel fast, but just resizing things a little bit, making the N bigger, and just tweaking it so it's a little bit more handmade feeling. I've got one of my artists, Vlad Stremescu, who's been helping with all of these cool icons. He's cooking up some ideas there. Okay, so let's take a look at some questions, some feedback, and then we'll go into the next new topic. I've got some more stuff I want to share with you guys. Vigor Mortis, yeah, that is a great name. The PCs are here. They are creatures also. So yeah, Necrotic broadly, it does not distinguish between friend and foe, and I think that's a cool thing. Yeah, so the next creature to move adjacent to you. So presumably your friends would know that you've cast this, don't move next to me, and you can tell them like, you maybe go around, don't go there. There's like spookily noodly things around me. Bun adventure. Yep. I've got a bun. Have you guys seen my bun? Let me see if I can see. Let me see if this works. That is my little rabbit, and her name is Bun. You like it more? Cool. Well, we can use it. Yeah. Design skills and budget have definitely improved, and I'm trying to put it into I'm trying to put all of this into the books. I'm trying to really give you guys something really great. Uh, I've got some stuff cooking. Dolchers, got some stuff cooking. Can't say too much just yet, but I'm working on it. Ignite spells could use some love. Smoldering, yeah. So smoldering is much easier to apply through in different ways. So through Flame Barrier, now it's much easier to do through there. Enchant Weapon can do it, as well as Fire Embrace and Living Inferno. So like basically almost every fire spell can apply Smoldering, and a lot of other class abilities can do that as well. I'm thinking about if just however many you can carry, like that gives your inventory slots some more teeth, and it gives you a gold sink. So I'm thinking about that. Uh, uh, but I think the person who initially had the idea was once you use one once, then you can't benefit from it again until you next safe rest, which is fine mechanical thing, but I don't know that it makes sense in story. Maybe it does. Yes, they will be made available. They will be made available. Uh, yes. Yeah, teamwork. On Vigor Mortis, could it be changed to be castable only on it? Yes, you can only cast it on an ally. That is how it is. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, Mitch. Mitch. I forget his last name. Yeah, Mitch has been a great artist. He's done Mitch Mueller. He's done all of the, or almost all of the card art for the spells and abilities and stuff, and I haven't even showed off half of those yet. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna send the files that I have currently to the printer to do. So we're moving close to the first test print, the first live test prints, so I can see contrast and all sorts of different things. So I've been pushing to get this done so I can send that off to the printer, and we could do some live test prints and see if things need to be made bigger or smaller or brighter or anything. Possibly going to do a Heroes Pass here shortly. Let's see how that's worded. Yeah, enemies who attack you this round are blind. So just the definition of round is it is user facing. So a round for me is when my next turn ends. All right, very cool. Yeah, you can move fast, but it's going to cost you a lot. Yep. It's Judd. Hey, Judd. Judd. Okay. Let's go on to Monster More has many names. Yeah. There is a bunch of new stuff for each monster, for each or most of the monster groups, and like multiple tables also. So if you like compiling things, feel free. But if you want to hold off, you can. They like that there is no dark vision, but asked how you would explain in lore. People can't see in the dark. That's how I'd explain it. I added a IDML. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. Use the PDF instead of the IDML. I did learn that InDesign can export markup language stuff, so that'll be handy for the future. Markdown, markup. I don't know anything about this. Okay. So healing is purposefully designed to be less powerful than damage, for a variety of reasons. But I think like This isn't like World of Warcraft where you have the healers and always healing. Like in RPGs, for instance, World of Warcraft, you need a set dedicated healer who can keep everybody topped up and make sure nobody dies. That means you need the healer, and the healer can't attack, which is not super fun. World of Warcraft had a problem of not people not wanting to play the healer. Everybody wants to just deal the damage. So healing is strong, for instance, with a shepherd. When someone dies, you can bring them back powerfully, but there's still that wound that they took in the actions that they lost. So there's still this cost. So healing is tuned to a point where it is nice to have, but not needed. And after combat, you can rest and recuperate and that kind of thing. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have next. So that all of that took me like the past couple of days. What has been taking me the rest of the time? Dealing with a lot of comments and stuff like that. Also, but I spent maybe a full week on just the math of the monster table. And I was a little bit disappointed, a little bit happy that the monster table that I came up with, that I derived just using my spreadsheets and stuff. The monster table that I derived just using my manual math and some intuition, like it was very solid. It was very solid, and you can still use the monster math, the monster table from here, the first printing, and it's going to be good. It's going to be just fine. That said, I was able to find a few cliffs and a few areas where the math was a little bit rough. And I was able to smooth it out and make sure that common encounters are much more tightly balanced, so that there are fewer surprises, good or bad. So I've been able to tweak things a bit there, and I want to show you guys. Oh no, don't crash. Okay, so the monster builder now looks a little bit different. Okay, so the monster builder now, monster level, the monster levels stop at 1/3. So in the GM guide, in this one, it stopped at level 1/4. A level 1/4 monster is so close to a minion. It has so few hit points that is so close to a minion that it essentially is a minion. So if you need more than 3 monsters for a level 1 hero, just use minions. So there was not enough granularity between a quarter and a minion to require both. So we got rid of that. So we cut it off there. But now HP and armor, just to zoom in a little bit. So HP and armor, unarmored, heavy, unarmored, medium, and heavy. So that's what these 3 hit point values are. So a level 3 monster that is unarmored or has light armor or whatever you want to call it has 33 hit points. A level 3 monster with medium armor has 23 hit points. A level 3 monster with heavy armor has 15 hit points. So you can choose what size, like how much armor they have throughout. There's a lot of complicated math going into all of these numbers that I won't get into, but maybe it will be added to the creator's kit just so you guys can sort of know why the numbers are what they are and why they scale the way they do across the level curve. But it is tight and backed up by a tremendous amount of programming and math and modeling and me not being able to sleep for a week. So damage is also now separated across the different number of attacks. This was something that, so there were a number of findings that surprised me about how useful or not useful certain things were. So how much, and then you can see with armor, it is not recommended to have a medium or heavy armor creature, that is level 1 or lower. And then for heavy, you shouldn't have a heavy armored thing that is level 2 or lower. So you could sort of introduce these concepts as you go, rather than needing to explain all of these different things at level 1. Okay. Another thing that has been removed are flunkies, something that people didn't really use, and it was only really useful at very, very low levels. But a level 1/3 monster is, I would think of it, monsters lower than level 1. They are sort of monsters in training. They're not really full-fledged monsters. So level 1/3 monster, it deals 3.5 damage and it can't crit. So if it rolls a D4 plus 1, for instance, D4 plus 1, it rolls a 4, it's dealing just 5 damage. Okay. And then same for level 1 half monsters. If they crit, so the goblin who rolls a d6, he rolls a 6, he deals additional 1 damage. This is because at very low levels, crits, 1 additional crit deals an outsized amount of damage that makes level 1 encounters so volatile that there has to be so few minions that every encounter is very easy, or so many enough monsters to make the encounter charge hard. But if there is just 1 more crit than average, then it might be TPK. So everything was balanced on too fine of a razor's edge at level 1. But changing level 1/3 and level 1 half monsters so that they can't crit or that they crit minimally fixed all of that math, and it made it work perfectly. So you can have harder level 1 encounters without having things being unnecessarily lethal. So it was like either way too easy or lethal. But having this middle ground here makes it a lot more fun. You can still have encounters that are way too easy or encounters that are lethal, but you have the option of this middle ground here, which I really, really like. Okay, and then as you get higher level, the number of attacks that a monster can do has a lot to do with how difficult it is. Since heroes can only defend once per round, a monster that can deal 2 attack, that can attack twice, is stronger. This is something that I discounted. And let me pull up the original Game Master's Guide just so I can sort of show you guys what I'm talking about. Hang tight, please. Draft files. GMG. First printing. You guys can see this, right? Okay, so this is the original monster builder chart. So you're expected to deal 11 damage, and that's 2d8 plus 2, or you can deal 2 attacks, each half as much. But what I found out in simulating this across many tens of thousands or millions of encounters was that 1d8 plus 1 is way more than twice as strong as 2d8 plus 2. Because of the way defend works and because of the way wounds work. So if someone is dying and they take 2d8 plus 2, it doesn't really matter, they're going to take 2 wounds. But if someone is dying and they take 1d8 plus 1 twice, that's 4 wounds. Maybe 8. Or maybe 6, right? So this is way more deadly than this. So what we have in the new monster chart is if you do 1 attack, you should deal an average of 12 damage. But if you're attacking twice, you should deal an average of 11 damage to compensate. So a little bit less. And then as you get higher, that difference increases. So 50 damage, and instead of 25 damage, we've bumped it down to 22 damage. So some percentage of the damage is eaten up just by being able to make that second attack. But not only that, not only how damage works and how defend works, but the budget, it also takes into account that if there's a guy over here and you're over here, and the orc can only move this far, well, he can give up one of his attacks in order to move a second time or make a save again. So he is just inherently stronger than the guy that has 1 big attack. So because you have the mechanic that you can give up an attack to make a save or to move again, more attacks is just more powerful. So each additional attack has been discounted. I hope that makes sense. You guys let me know if that doesn't make sense. So you shouldn't be able to attack for three or more times until you're like level 5. You shouldn't be able to attack 4 or more times until you're level 10. And if you do, you're taking a pretty hefty penalty. So a one attack creature at level 20 is 80 damage. But a 4 attack creature at level 20 is closer to 40 damage, just because of the way the math works out. So I think that this is extremely helpful when building encounters, that the math is going to be much tighter. And then just looking at the previous thing, the number of hit points across the board has been tweaked. So the goal of having a 3 to 4 round combat encounter where you have enough turns to set things up and see a payoff, it was being exceeded. It was like 5 or 6 rounds of combat in some of these situations. So the hit points of the monster, so the balance is the same, but the monster is doing less damage and had more hit points, so the length of the encounter was extended. So what I did to bring the encounter back into a more manageable time frame was to lower the hit points and increase the damage ever so slightly for a lot of these. So at level 20, you'll see instead of 313 hit points, he has 234. And instead of 189 hit points with heavy armor, he has 155. But instead of 54 damage, he's dealing anywhere from 80 to 40 damage. And we have that granularity of, well, it depends on how many attacks he's making. So that is that. I think all of these make this a substantially more robust and more helpful table. So these numbers are not very much different than what they were, but they are very much better than what they were. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on that before I continue. It's reaction, so it's anytime anytime one of your allies drops to 0 hit points. Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I would not recommend that being the default, but just to show you how some of the monsters in the new Monsters More book works, I will show you this. Okay, so let's. Hey, good to see you, Derek. Yeah. Lots of math. Yep. Okay. So let's take a look at, so if we're doing a 4-attack monster, this is basically how the monster manual, the Monsters More book says, roll 4d12, divvy up the damage dice to any creatures within reach. Okay, so someone takes 12, someone takes 8, someone takes 9, or all 3 of them go to one guy. So it's not roll, he deals us some damage, what do you do? All right, roll, he does it. So it's designed specifically to be, okay, we have 1 miss, you're gonna take 21, and then you over there, you'll take 6. So like, for instance, the Hydra, it has a reach of 2 or 3, I think. And you just roll, X d20s. And you just divvy up the damage dice however you like. So I have definitely put some thought into that. And if you wanted to, you can just do the 1 or 2 attack monsters also. But the point is giving people the ability to choose that with a level of design granularity that is helpful rather than misleading. Yeah, I went through the complicated things so that you guys, when you're playing, you don't have to. Like if by 1 hour of my mathing can save each of you 1 minute, then multiplied by the thousands of people who will play, that is worth it, right? So I think about that. I think like that with the adventures and with the monster design and with all the lore and the items, with everything. Because if I can put in a time here, then spread it out across everybody who's going to play it, it is absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. Yeah, it has been. These charts have been the single most time-consuming and expensive thing that I have made. I think they are the most valuable things in the books, the monster charts. Save DC, was that not in the monster books before? It was there. The save DC has been tweaked a little bit, tweaked downward, just ever so slightly for some of these. So it goes up to 17-ish or so. But no, yeah, it was there. Yes. Number of monsters per heroes. Okay, so that was another interesting thing that I discovered as I was modeling it. And I haven't implemented this in the GM guide yet, but there are 5 difficulty bands. So there are 5 difficulty bands. There's easy. That an easy encounter uses up 50% of the budget, the encounter budget. So if you have 5 level 2 heroes, you have like that. That's 10 levels of heroes. You have 10 levels of monsters to equal. So if you only use 5 levels, that's going to be an easy encounter. Then there's medium with 75%. There's hard, where it's equal, 10 levels of heroes and 10 levels of monsters. And then there's deadly, 125%, and then very deadly at 150%. So there's 5 different difficulty bands. So if you have 1 or 2 monsters per hero, this follows exactly. If you have 3 monsters per hero, the difficulty goes up 1 band, just because of the action economy. If you have 4 monsters per hero, the difficulty goes up 1 more step. So if you have 4 monsters per hero and the levels are equal, they're both 100% of monsters is 100% of the heroes, then by levels it's hard, but you would go up. That would feel like a very deadly encounter. So I'm going to be updating the GM guidance there with that. So if you have 1 or 2 monsters per hero, it's exactly what you would expect. 3 monsters per hero, it's going to go up 1 step. 4 monsters per hero, it goes up 1 more step. That's basically it. So that was another interesting finding. With some very fancy Python scripts and Monte Carlo simulations. Yeah. And I don't get into all of it, but that is currently, yes. I did send the money to the printer already, to the manufacturer, to create the Nimble dice. I did request for there to be a 1 on the face, but for the 1 to be uninked. So there will be a 1, but it is going to be uninked. And I just sent them measurements for the dice, and I sent the deposit for the mold, the injection mold. So we're getting custom molds. We're not just using someone else's reheated stuff. Yep. If you go to Hive, you can get the latest core rules there. You get all the latest stuff there as I'm uploading things there, the Hive Pledge Manager. If you backed elsewhere or purchased on the website, then once everything is done, I'll put it up there. I don't want to annoy people with a bunch of draft files who purchased other ways. Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes. So yes, we're adjusting for the action economy. Exactly. And it's easy to do. It's not like some weird formula. It's just use 1 or 2 monsters. And if you use more than that, it's a little bit harder. Okay. Let's continue, guys. Let's talk about the more controversial stuff now. So what else do we do? I was able to figure out. Oh, hey, Dad on YouTube. I don't know how to see. There it is. No. I don't know how to turn off the thing. It's like it's speaking to me in my ears. Thank you so much, Dad on YouTube. I do appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Let's talk, guys, about so with all of these numbers, I was able to figure out. What to do with. Come on, where is it? I was able to figure out companions, the companion stats, how companions are going to be statted. There are going to be, come on. There are going to be 5 different companion archetypes. There's going to be balanced. There's tanky, a little bit, so balanced, damage and survivability roughly equal to an equal level hero. And there's going to be guidance that companions should be lower level than your heroes, just so they don't outshine. There's going to be tanky ones where their damage is a little bit lower, but they're able to soak more damage. There's glass, which is the opposite. There's utility, where they don't really do damage, they don't really soak, but they do other helpful things for you. And then there's going to be story companions that do different things. Think like Gandalf, kind of characters that are with you for a short period of time, but they don't level up with you. They don't stay with you. When did Army get updated? A few weeks ago, a month or 2 ago. We did some playtesting, and I think to the man or woman, everybody who playtested it preferred it and liked it much, much better. Not currently. It is a mess. It is a mess. I don't know how helpful it would be for other people. So no, not currently. But all the findings I'm going to add to all the useful findings. I'm going to try to add to the Creators Kit. Okay, so lots and lots of data and insights for the updated Creators Kit. Updated minion recommendations. So 2 minions per hero is roughly equal to 1 full monster that is equal to the hero's level. So for heroes are level 5, if you have 5 level 5 heroes, and if you have 2 minions per hero, so if there's 10 minions, that's like adding 1 more level 5 monster. I really like how beautifully this worked out. I really like how it's just so easy. I want to add 5 more levels of difficulty to this. Yeah, 2 minions per hero. Bam. And you're done. And then here, this is just what we were just talking about. And then also monster balance. A single monster should generally be no higher level than 2 times the party level. It's not due to difficulty. This was surprising. So if you have like a level 10 hero party and you put like a Mummy Lord in there, that's level 21, I think. It actually made, because the Mummy Lord eats up so much of the budget and the action economy gets so lopsided, that having one higher, extremely high level monster actually made the encounter easier because it ate up so much of the encounter budget. But also, that Mummy Lord could just one-shot a hero. So with one very, very difficult monster, we recreate the 5e problem of, it's so hard that it one-shots us. It's not really as much a problem in Nimble, but it's just an unfun play pattern. Like, if something could just kill you in one hit, even if you defend, like, why defend? So we eliminate a lot of the fun of it, and a lot of these numbers were made with the hero stats in mind. A single monster should generally not hit in such a way so strongly that it can kill a hero in one hit, or take them from full to 0, or to eliminate their ability to defend, to deflect damage with defense, or any of these things. So a lot of thought went into all of this stuff behind the scenes. Okay, so as long as no single monster is double the party level, that's it. Okay, let's talk about diagonals, guys. So something I've been thinking about a lot is diagonals, and how, and this is not we're doing it. I felt very strongly about the defense, defending, or a monster armor. I felt very strongly about going from 5 stats down to 4. I think those were clearly better design choices. I think those were just clearly better design choices. This one is more, I'm asking you, and I want to present to you guys. I want to present to you guys what I'm thinking, and then hear what you guys think. So this is truly, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, and then sort of just start the discussion. Okay, I have Owlbear Rodeo up. Computer. Okay, so I've got Owlbear Rodeo up here. Owlbear Rodeo. Okay, so we have. Let's just simplify things a bit. I'm not great with Owlbear Rodeo. Okay, so we have a bad guy here. We have a bad guy. And then let's say the Oathsworn starts here, and Oathsworn goes first and he says, I want to protect my friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I stand in front of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's just scooch everybody back just one. How do I go back to the regular? There he is. Okay, so this guy, just put him here, just so we can sort of show. Okay, so the Oathsworn wants to defend his buddy, so he's going to, on his turn, he's going to run forward, and he's going to say, I block ye, you foul knave. And then this guy, he just says, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's he can, if diagonals are adjacent, this guy can just go around the Oathsworn as if he doesn't exist. He could just go completely around. So 1, 2 is the same as going 1, 2, just going through him, right? So even if, what if these two guys wanted to block wanted to block this guy, same situation. So like this guy's coming and he could just go around. So two people can't block somebody. So you need at least three people to block someone. And even then, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And even with three people blocking, it only costs essentially one movement. And really not even one movement. So diagonals is cool, but it really takes away a lot of the strategic options that one might have. So if this Oathsworn came here and diagonals were not adjacent, so instead of going straight ahead, he would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one person can block a monster. Okay, I think that is actually a really cool thing to have. And then also, if we just ignore the people, say we have some spell, the mage casts like some ice wall spell. Okay, the mage casts an ice wall spell, and he summons an ice wall right here. Oh, not that. Can I just draw a line? He casts an ice wall spell right here. But again, this guy can just go around it. Okay, your ice wall, I can ignore it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a wall in front of someone doesn't slow anybody down. 2 walls, you need at least 3 walls in front of someone to slow them down at all. I don't know that I like that. I think this is a very cheesy way to go about playing. It doesn't feel realistic. And if we have, oh, come on. If we have like a full, like if this guy's like trying to turn the corner, for instance, so he's here, and if diagonals are adjacent, 1, 2, this wall doesn't exist, right? But if diagonals are not adjacent, then he has to go around the corner, and it takes him some time, and that feels much more realistic without it being a fiddly counting half diagonals and this and yeah. I don't know. One column. So that is what I'm thinking. Some cool things that this brings is that it makes for more tactical situations. So if this was instead, like if we're in a hallway or something, well then one hero or a doorway, one hero can block for his whole party. Or one monster. So like where creatures are matters more, and how big they are matter more. So if this guy was large, and then there was like a small, and there was a small creature, well, then he could just move right through him. But this small creature could just move right through him, which is a valuable thing. But this medium creature couldn't, and this large creature would be blocked by the medium creature. So because they're two sizes different, so that is cool. Like being able to have your size, the size of your hero, matter more. Also, I think is really interesting. One of the monsters that I made was Iskareth, the dragon, the ice dragon, and it was really hard to figure out how to make her ice dragon. Let me pull it up. And she had this cool ice wall ability that I wanted to use, but it was really hard to use it because of how diagonals work. So wall of ice, summon a wall of ice 5 spaces in a line, and it sort of had to be 5. So like if this was Iskareth, it had to be 5. Let's draw again. So 1, 2. No, it's in a line. It's a line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if it's less than 5, then a hero. So if this is Iskareth, come on, don't embarrass me. Okay, so Iskareth is here, like that, and then there's a guy on this side. All right, he has to go around, so it's going to cost him 1, 2, 3, and he's around it. Okay, but if it was 4, then he has to he would only be. Let me shrink this down to 4. Then it would only basically take one one or two. It would take two. He wouldn't be like in the middle. There would be like one clear, better way to go around. So because of how diagonals work, you couldn't just have a wall that was like 1 or 2 spaces wide or 3 spaces wide, because it's too quick to go around, even though it's taking up so much space. So there's a lot of weird knock-on effects of. Oh, you guys couldn't see what I was doing. Sorry. I was just doing this. Sorry. So 3 spaces, he could go around very quickly. But if it was 4 spaces, 4 spaces, you could still treat it as if it was a 3-space wall. And then you have to have at least 5. It has to be an odd number, first of all. You have to have at least 5 spaces for it to be. I have to go 2 spaces to go around it to see the guy and smite him. So that is a huge amount of space to take up just because diagonals are adjacent. And also in a lot of the simulations, the monsters just go like way here, like way far away. They would go so far that it would feel like they're traveling twice as fast as they should, like 50% faster than they should. Like I'm over here and I feel like I'm safe, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not even 6 spaces. Like I feel like I'm super safe over here if I'm the cheat. If this guy was here, I would be safe, but because he's here diagonal, like nope, like he could just move super duper quick, and it makes for very strange, counterintuitive moments. Can't see your screen. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm dumb. Yeah, so there were other options, but we need to be aware that every exception makes for confusion and is something that we have to remember. So every exception, so rules are there so that you know what happens. And exceptions mean you don't necessarily know what happens. So one of the options is, if we shrink this bad guy back down, like cutting corners. So like if this Oathsworn wanted to cut the corner, like you can't cut a corner around this, or if I want to go around, or like if the bad guy wanted to go around, no, just put the bad guy back where he was. If the bad guy wanted to go around me as the Oathsworn, he couldn't cut corners. And yeah, that's okay. But it still makes for other weirdnesses. It's a less laughs than Hexagon. Yeah, hexagons have their own problems. Hexagons are cool, but they do have their own problems. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't want to remove it, but using diagonals or not is an optional rule already. But what I'm thinking is, should the default be diagonals are not adjacent? Like whoever loves diagonals, they're just going to do it anyway. Like no, yeah, that's stupid. Diagonals are adjacent. People are they'll just do it. But for the people, for the third or half of the people who don't want to tinker with rules, they just want to do with whatever. They'll just do whatever is written. I want the default to be the more interesting option. So I don't feel like not moving diagonally is really a restriction, because you just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You could still do it. You're going to end up here instead of way out here, right? Hey Brandon, you here? How's it going? Yeah, so what I would think probably is it's either diagonals are adjacent or they're not, and I don't really want to mess with a bunch of weird restrictions and things, or exceptions or whatever. So a few of the ideas that I was thinking. This is the cleanest, either adjacent or not. Yeah, gridless is cool too, but that again that does have its own issues. Just how far can you go? This far, right? That is cool. But if you want to go around a thing, it gets a little bit weird about how you do that, and it's a little bit less tactical. The Diagonal War. Like cones and areas and stuff can be a little bit confusing with hexagons. So if you have like a 3x3 area, how do you do that? Or lines. Sometimes lines can be like jiggly jaggly for hexagons. So either adjacent or not, no exceptions. It could be and I realize I just said no exceptions, like literally here. But what if reach and ranged weapons could attack diagonally? Okay, well, what if that? So like currently reach weapons, they're okay, but they're not that great because my dagger can already attack from 1.4 space. So my dagger can already attack it diagonally. But what if what if we give like reach weapons the ability to attack diagonally, which feels cool. It gives them like a little bit more reach without them feeling crazy, like 15 feet long. I think that's a cool little bonus. I don't have to move. I can attack everybody all the way around me. Or if they're like orthogonal to me, like I can attack even further. I think that's a cool thing. Yeah, it can't cut corners feels cleanest. Yeah, let me go and write down can't cut corners. I don't know. Does it feel the cleanest, Lou? Lou, can I call you Lou? I don't know why I called you Lou. Lewis? Does it feel cleanest? Sorcery TCG. They have a really cool thing. They have a really cool thing where game is played on a playmat. Playmat. The game is played on like this gridded playmat with your cards. No. It's on this gridded playmat, and monster cards they can move, but they can't move diagonally. But if a monster has flying, it can move diagonally, which is really cool. So it doesn't. So like you see how big this playmat is. It's not very big at all. I think it's 4x4 or 4x5. So if a monster can normally move 1 and you give it 2, like man, it could really zip, or 3, it could zip across this thing very, very quickly. But what if you wanted to do something like halfway between giving him a ton of movement and just a little bit more mobility? Lou is cool. My partner's Lou. All right, cool. Hey, Lou and Lou, that's cool. So flying creatures in this game, they can move. So they can move 1 here, they can move 1 here, or they can move 1 diagonally, which is just a cool little way to where they can avoid going through someone else's space. They can move diagonally much faster than other creatures without being able to like go from their square to any other square on the whole mat. So it's a way to keep a tight battlefield without having without having movement be essentially meaningless. If a creature could get anywhere on the battlefield all the time, then the movement doesn't really matter. It's not really a tactical game any longer. So these are the things that I'm thinking. I'm not married to any. I'd be happy. I'd be perfectly fine if things just stayed the way they are. But if these are things that you haven't thought of, and now that you're thinking about them, like, oh yeah, maybe diagonals are stupid. It would be cooler if monsters had to use their movement. So this isn't just like a player nerf, but if monsters also had to, like, if a monster was here, like this cheat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me actually just get it perfectly diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if a monster was here, this cheat should feel pretty safe from that monster. Whereas if the monster here, this one feels closer because it is. So this one could move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me actually move it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got to move it out one more. So this one feels closer than this one. So for this guy to come to attack me as the cheat, he would have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's essentially twice as far. Okay, and this one, it can just sort of come get me a little bit easier. It is slightly less intuitive in the opposite direction, but I think it is more tactical. It's more tactical because placement matters, and you can't just be like just like noodle around guys as if like you're a snake and you don't have any bones or anything. Cheat must be able to move diagonally. Yeah, having this restriction means that you can have cool things like that. Yeah, normal monsters, normal creatures can't do this. Cheats can. Flying creatures can. Or oozes can. Like weird stuff like that. Things that move strangely that is cool. But everybody can just like sort of like wiggle and do this non-Euclidean stuff, and like if you move that direction, you can move this far. If you move that direction, you can move 40% faster. It just I don't know. I don't know. It's something that has been bugging me. Diagonal is difficult terrain. It's not that it's difficult terrain. It's just that you move like 1, 2, or you move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that is the worst of all options. Like we don't want this to be a simulation, and I don't want to have to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared and that kind of stuff. What was that? I'm very much in favor of non-diagonal movement and diagonal weapon attacking. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And also, let me pull up this thing. So this is like what the different sizes of things. So this is this is how it is currently. The green is the hero, and reach 2, the reach 2 could reach all of these things, and the reach 4 could reach all of this, and then 6 is obviously two of those bigger, and then this is with diagonals not adjacent. So with your spear, you could reach all of these things all the way around you. So two squares this way, 2 squares this way, or adjacently. Yeah, this one is definitely a situation where there is not a clearest thing. Yeah, the more fiddly options are more accurate. My first choice would be can't cut corners. Second choice would be they're adjacent. Gotta keep it intuitive and simple. Yeah, let me ask you this: is you can't cut corners intuitive and simple? How would we even say that? How would we say that? Because I'm okay with that. Like that is an elegant way to do it. You can't move diagonally past. Like how would you phrase it? Yeah, like I have no illusions that people who like it one way or the other are going to change the way they like to do it. But for the default people who just like to run it default rules, having it where your choices matter more without any overhead is a good thing to have. If you can't cut diagonals at all, it can create a weird chase movement where it's just as fast to chase a creature by moving north when you're then moving east. They're diagonal to you. I'm not following that. I'd have to see that. Yeah, these are like weird, unintuitive, like accurate simulation, but unintuitive and fiddly. This is currently my favorite thing. This is currently my favorite thing. That's currently my favorite. Because like when you're cheating or when you're flying, like you're clearly doing something different. Or reach weapons can attack diagonally. It gives them more utility, and it's a design knob that's not like a full another one full digit. Giving a reach weapon from 2 to 3 is a big clunk, and this is more of like a half step, which feels cool, but not too strong. So you guys, how would you word? Also, we codify something with diagonal movement and we place hexagonal or gridless system. False part. Well, hexes you wouldn't have that problem because there's no diagonal hexes. You just move to adjacent space. So this is really only for squares. I would recommend it just preventing diagonal movement if there's an object or creature adjacent to you in the way. All right, so let's draw. All right, so here's a wall here, and here's a doorway here. Okay, so here's a wall. All right, so there's a wall. If we can, yeah, a gridless is cool too. But I think most people are going to be playing on a grid. Can't cut corners is super simple, only affects movement, so there's no overreach and fixes the problem precisely. Can't move diagonally if anything is adjacent. So if I am here, so let's say I am here and this guy is here. I can't move there. You cannot move diagonally past enemy creatures or objects. I would say you can't move diagonally past objects or enemy creatures. Okay, so this would be moving past an object diagonally. So I'd have to go here, then here. But if I'm just standing in the open, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Movement around an obstacle cannot traverse any corner occupied by the obstacle. Let me copy this. Let's start writing some of these ideas down, you guys. So, because reading it this way implies that there are enemy objects. You cannot move diagonally past walls or enemy creatures. Walls or enemies. Okay, guys, put on your rules lawyer hats and break this. Does this survive the rules lawyer? Yeah, we're only talking about the grid. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Barry, thank you. That is another great point. So, this is sort of like a benefit and a drawback. So let's just move. Let's just move these guys over here. So we have the cheat, and there. Come on. And there are 4 monsters surrounding her. Okay, there's 4 monsters. So if diagonals are adjacent, even if there were 4 more monsters, only 4 of them are adjacent and could attack her. This feels more fair. But also, if I'm standing here, like, why can't I attack her? Yeah. Want to do hex if you want super accurate. Hexes don't map to like walls and doorways and things very, very easily. I think I can. Let me see if I can change this thing to a hex map. Asset manager. Scenes. Edit. No. Give me 1 second, guys. So hexes are cool. They are definitely cool. Let me just pull in my boys. Hexes could work. Maybe hexes are just the default. I think making hexes the default is like a little bit bigger of a change. But so like if I'm here, I don't want to go down this bridge. I can just go up, 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 up. But if I want to go left, I have to go up or down. There's no left or right. It's up or down. So to go this way, it's sort of like a wiggly movement. So it's just that is a weirdness of hexes. But also, if I want to do a cone, if this is a mage, for instance, if we have a mage here, and he is standing here, and we've got a bad guy here and a here, and so we got a bunch of bad guys here. And he has a cone 2. Is this a cone 2? Is this a cone 3? So like where does the cone start and end? Like that is a confusing thing for me. Not that there probably aren't answers to this. That's a lot of bad guys. So is this cone, would he be able to get all of these? This is a cone 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's slightly bigger than 90 degrees. So like cones are much more powerful. So that's a cone 4. To be fair, hexes are better, but hexes aren't used because they don't perfectly map to like straight lines. So if an Oathsworn say wanted to stand here, I'd say yeah, you could probably stand there. But if he wanted to stand here, like on this little sliver of this piece of map, if this was a wall instead of just a bridge, could she stand there? Yeah, I don't know. Like that's a weirdness of hexes that squares don't have. Lucis, yeah. So this is it currently. You cannot move diagonally. So this is, I think, this has the most juice for the least. So I will admit, this does have the most juice for the least squeeze, and I would expect such from someone as distinguished as Lewis. Coming up with that and this Matt was telling me about this the other day also. Double King. Yeah. When you're flying, you avoid terrain. Oh, Jeff is here, guys. Everybody relax. Don't worry. Hey, Jeff. You cannot move diagonally through a space occupied by a creature or object. So you already can't do that. I don't know if that helps. The fly/cheat things feel way too intuitive to me. Yeah, diagrams help, but if you need a diagram, it is a less intuitive thing. Is a table a wall? I don't know. Like a vase is probably not a wall. Yeah, there. Doop-de-doo, you win chat today. Well, if something is flying over you and not past you. Yeah. No, I definitely don't want to do that. Like sometimes you can move diagonally and sometimes you can't. Oh, Claude. Okay, Claude, your opinion is that can't cut corners is a fiddly thing. Okay. You can still run around enemies if you start one square out. What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, I've got to change scenes back to a regular one. Okay, so Oathsworn, we'll just ignore the walls for now. So Oathsworn is here, and this guy's here. So if diagonals are not a thing, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we'll just ignore this the cheat and this monster. Okay, so the Oathsworn, he wants to block for the mage. So if diagonals are adjacent, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just get to him. Okay. If diagonals are not adjacent, then I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can't get to him. You can still run around enemies if you start one square out. Does making Does make blocking movement really hard. So you're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this can't cut corners thing, not that. This can't cut corners thing only works if they are next to you. So that is a fair point. So there's a little bit less juice out of. Yeah, minion crowds do half damage, yeah. Really like that. Yeah. 4 points around. Well, diagonal is just like, they're just a little bit too far away. It's not that you can't, you just have to get closer. Like you can't, it's not that you can't attack someone that's 10 feet away. You can, you just got to get closer. I don't know. I'm open to both. You can change bottom right. Situation with a cheat, there would be imbalance AoEs versus standard attacks a lot. I'm not sure what that means, Matt. Yeah. Diagonals remove a lot of the tactics. That is the problem. So let's define the problem. Oh man. Yeah, so this one loses a point, just a little bit, just a little point, because it's kind of easy to cheese still. Okay. Okay, the problem. Diagonals being adjacent loses a considerable amount of tactical positioning. Good point. Creatures trying to block a double wide doorway. Also an interesting use case. On the top of hexes, by far the most physical maps are squares. Yes. Yep. Yep. I think moving to hexes is the direction for a sci-fi based thing, because sci-fi has to have hexes. Hexes are sci-fi. Fantasy is squares for a number of reasons. Leave the default up to the table. That's an option. Just like, hey, you can treat hexes as adjacent or not. If you treat them as adjacent, you lose. On the other hand, do what you want as long as you're consistent. Nah, I don't think we can do that. I feel no diagonal movement squares has all the same failings as hex grid. No, the failings of the hex grid are largely that there's like weird little shapes against walls where you're not sure if you can fit or not, and moving left to right or up and down depending on which way the hexes are oriented is sometimes like wiggly, and cones are weird. So hexes fix a lot, but they fix it 70% of the way, but they introduce 30% more problems. So no diagonal movement squares has none of the drawbacks of hexes, but has its own unique drawbacks. Hexes are also weird if the size is large or more. Really? No. I think hexes, it's just like 3. Is it? Is it? So a large creature would just be like, yeah, it is a little bit weird. Huh? Never thought about that. So he would basically fill up these 3 spaces, but he's like doesn't really fill the space, and he's like spilling over into other people's spaces. Yeah. So like, yeah, that is a little bit weird. So if he moves one space, you go here. Yeah, that's a little bit confusing. Hexes do have their own weirdnesses. Don't say that, Edward. We'll find the perfect solution. No, I see what you mean. And this is this beautiful map is by Chepeku. If you guys are wondering where the map is from, Chepeku. Yeah, diagonals being adjacent or not adjacent is the easiest. So I think them being not adjacent is just as easy as them being adjacent. So both of those are easy. Both of those are easy. Hexes feel weird with buildings and such. Yeah. Yep. Tome Squeeze is worth it. Distinguished. Yes. Top hat and everything. Yeah. Perhaps. I think what we're going to do, because I don't feel strongly enough about it one way or the other, I think I'm going to do something like this. I think the answer might just be we call a tactical surrender. Ooh, tactical surrender to the war. You can treat diagonal. Yeah, if we say this, then we're taking a stance. So I don't know if I like that. They are adjacent if you allow for diagonal movement. If you allow it, movement is a bit more free. But on the other hand, yeah, that might have to be. That might have to be where we land. You cannot move diagonally past walls or enemies. Was this from Pathfinder? Matt said it was from something. I don't remember. So initially I thought this has the most juice for this least squeeze, but it being able to be so easily cheesed makes me question that. And the definition of what all of this means is fiddlier than one would wish. This is the wording from Draw Steel on this. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Can't cut corners. A creature can't move diagonally when doing so would involve passing through the corner of a wall or some other object that completely fills the corners. Yeah, that's fine. Creature space they're moving to. This applies only to moving past objects, not moving past other creatures. Oh, interesting. Okay. Adam Castro. Great question, Adam. Great question. So let's get our mage over here. And let's say there is a monster here, and a monster here, and a monster here that he really wants to get. So if we have like a line, so you clearly could, zap. Oh, that's not the one. It seems to always do the one that I don't want. You could clearly zap all of them. Zap, 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 because they're literally in a line. But what I would do is I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is a 12 space line, zzz, like that. You could do that. But they're all in a line. But it's just worth 2 spaces. So you could do that. Treat squares as difficult terrain. Well, there are some spells that trigger off of if someone is in difficult terrain or if someone is hampered or something, and I don't want to affect those unnecessarily. So this enemy running past the Oathsworn. So if the Oathsworn isn't able to like quite get up in the enemy's face, if he's like this, the enemy could just do. So if the enemy went here, then here, okay, that would be illegal. But all the enemy would have to do is just move diagonally here, and it's like the Oathsworn is not there still. So it only works if the Oathsworn if the enemy is already adjacent to you, which is the sort of the way to cheese it pretty easily. I don't think it's cheesing it though. It's just smart tactics. I guess. Maybe. You could see that I'm not convinced either way because every time someone leaves a comment, I'm sort of like, okay, yeah, that's true. So I could do this. I could move diagonally toward him, but now I could just move straight past him. It's just not as clean as I would like. I'll say that. Would it be better for the game if combat is more melee focused as opposed to range focused? Like, is that bad? Yeah. Yeah. We don't want things to be complex. Yeah, you could definitely do that. It's a lot more fiddly though. A lot of people would bulk at that. So halfway in between. Yep, could do that too. That's what like this one is, I think. That's this shape here. Yeah. The best to worst for block movement would be grapple, be adjacent, be 1 square out for opportunity attack. Best to worst. Grapple. I'm not sure what that means. No, that's true. That's how we started this. So, hey, Melif. Yeah, and I don't want to have separate adjacency and move rules either. It's fair. the ruler for diagonal movement, and then someone's gonna end up like here, and then forever they're off the grid and everybody else is on grid. Yeah, that one time when I was 7 years old, I moved diagonally once, and now I can't sit in any chairs anymore. This might be thanks, Edward. Hubris is what it's called. First noble war to reach truce? Yeah, possibly. Yeah. We got to be Switzerland. Don't say that. These people are goading me on. Pathfinder had rules like that, okay. You don't think it's cheesing it? Regarding bottom line, you're trying to block you right up next to the enemy. Okay, so let's talk about, we have the ice dragon who puts a wall in front of you. Haha, you have been walled in, my friend. So we'll do it for a 1 wall, a 2 wall. We'll go down here for like a wall that's 3 spaces wide. Okay, so this guy, he has been walled in. 1, 2. He can just go around it. Or 1, 2, 3. He can just go around it. Okay, so a wall of 1. So this is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. A wall of 1, it doesn't actually. So you are going around, but it doesn't actually impact your movement. Okay, going here, 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 here. So a wall of 1 doesn't. So the whole can't cut corners thing, a wall of 1 doesn't impact your movement. Okay, what about a wall of 2? Well, on one side or the other, it's still a wall of 1, so that wouldn't impact movement. The wall of 3 would necessarily. So I could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I could reach. I could attack this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a wall of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Even a wall of 3 doesn't impact movement. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So even a wall of 3 doesn't impact movement with can't cut corners. I think can't cut corners isn't all it's cracked up to be. So like this guy went way further around. Like if you're in a race and you go this way and another guy goes this way, like you win. But no, this guy just gets all this free movement. Yeah, I don't know. Can't cut corners. I guess that's only if you start off like farther away from it. So what if it's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Even that. But then you're only 4 spaces away. Sacrifice move space to make adjacent spaces difficult terrain. Yeah, if moving into a diagonal square places you adjacent to a structure or enemy you are adjacent to, pay an extra movement for each such structure or enemy. Yeah, so that kind of thing where like, oh, how is it phrased? You read it like, okay, and like you have to read it and think about it and then like do it. That I would rather just say you can move through walls rather than that. It has to be easy, and so like someone's coming to the table. Oh, can you move diagonally in this game? You're playing checkers. All right. The goal is to move your pieces to the other side of the table. Okay, cool. I'm moving, this way. Oh, can you go diagonal? No diagonal in this game. Okay, got it. But oh, you're playing checkers. You're playing some new game. You're playing Go or whatever Go is. I don't know the rules. You're playing Go. Oh, can I move my piece diagonally here? Well, if moving a piece diagonally equals your spaces of a structure, the party of the first part, the party of the second part, adjacent to the extra movement, the structure of enemy, you're like, oh, all right, I won't play this game. I just say like, just move however far you want to do. Yes, that has been said. I want to avoid fiddly. Yes, I get that many tables will decide for themselves, but is there a best default rule that is good for tables who don't want to fiddle or deal with alternate rules? Is there, if the current rules is a B tier, maybe we can't, there's not an S tier that makes everybody happy, but is there an A tier that I can make most people happy and everybody else is going to pick whatever they pick already? That's what I'm trying to solve here. So I'm not trying to solve it for everybody because Lewis is still going to be gridless and this other guy's always going to do adjacent. This guy's always going to do the can't cut corners thing. So everybody's going to do their own thing, or many people will do their own thing, especially people who are interested enough in RPGs to watch a multi-hour long, 2-hour long stream. You guys are going to come up with your own rules. But for the people who are just sitting down, oh, you guys want to play a board game tonight? How about Yahtzee? How about Monopoly? Well, how about let's try some D&D? Or some Nimble. Let's try this. Like, okay. No, spaces are not adjacent, or diagonals are not adjacent. Okay. Doot, 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 doot. There you go. Yeah, you can move diagonally. Doot, 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 doot. There you go. So that is what I'm trying to solve. Can I help those people to have a more fun time? Could be. Might as well make all adjacent squares difficult terrain. Yes, but what if it's like a different kind of wall and not necessarily an ice wall? Like having a rule that can handle it rather than this vague thing and then each thing has its own ruling is a little bit less elegant. Would the wall of 1 not take up the grid space rather than the space in between? If a wall of 1 was 1 space, it does not affect the diagonal move. Oh, so like if the wall was a box instead of a line? Yeah, it could be. All right, let's see what happens there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, starts here. So he could go 1, well, where was it here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate hers just so I can know where she always starts. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if she starts there, so what happens if the wall starts here? Get rid of that. Then she has to go 1, can't cut corners, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that does prevent it. So how close you are to the wall matters. It's admittedly not perfect, but it is okay. Turn radius and acceleration. But what kind of shoes are they wearing? Well, yeah. So if yes, it does work if there are multiple walls. So a wall of 2 works if there is already a wall on this side that you cannot cross. But a wall of 2 is just the same as a wall of 1, because if it's a wall of 2, you could start on this side or that side, and you can just go around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yes, a wall of 2. If this one was a wall of 2, and we started here, then yes, that certainly would work. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, that could work. You're right. Blockage is less powerful the further away the blocker wall is. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm complaining about nothing. With adjacent diagonals, that diagonal movement will always be faster and more efficient. Does a wall not fill the entire square? It could. It doesn't necessarily, though. Like a 5-foot thick wall is like a substantial thing. Even like a concrete block wall is only 8 inches thick. Like a thick concrete CMU block wall is like 8 inches thick. That's not taking up a whole 5-foot room. So I'm okay with like even a castle wall being not taking up a full space. So you cut the first incoming corner. Oh, I see. But no, you just so you could cut the first incoming corner and then this one. That's what you're saying. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this one isn't as cheesable as maybe I was saying. So maybe we're back to here. Maybe we're back to here. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't want to do exceptions and stuff. Like I'm shooting the ideas down, but also like lovingly, like thank you so much for all the ideas and the feedback in the comments. Like this is really cool. I really appreciate that you guys care enough about this to like come and hang out with me and see the progress and stuff. I'm putting a lot of work and thought into this so that when you're playing, you don't have to. So if this feels like we're taking too much time on one little thing, we are. Like if every table had to take this much time, it would be terrible. So we're taking the time so that other people don't. So, you know, Perinkle Z87, thank you, man. I appreciate that. You'd need a diagonal move. All right. So it's not just that it's difficult to arraign, because if we have a doorway, say this is a doorway here, and I'm blocking the doorway. So it's not just that it's difficult terrain, it's that I can't go through if someone is blocking me. I can't go through. So if it's just difficult terrain, it's 1, 2, right? So it's not difficult terrain. That is not what we're going for. Cutting corners around a wall versus just taking advantage of diagonal movement being 5 feet. So cutting corner rule, so diagonals be, so if this from this book here to this thing, if this was like 1-to-1, the perfectly geometric, if this was this, having diagonals be adjacent is like more generous than it should be. The can't cut corner rules is not so. If going back to here, so can't cut corners is like not as generous, but it's not like exactly where we want it to be. No diagonals being not adjacent is more restrictive than we would want. So the can't cut corners is sort of like a halfway between those two things. If you start further from a wall and want to make that harder, you just have to say, yeah, I definitely don't want to do that though, Mr. Prime. Wait, you guys have dice? London, hey, good to see you, London. It's been a while. Despite being exploded with normal diagonal rules, it's just most, yeah, it is. And I would rather go streamlined and easy and quick than slow and fiddly and accurate. So I'm just asking, can we keep the streamline with and throw in and not trim? So streamlining that trimmed out some of the tactical options. What I'm trying to explore is, can we keep the streamline but leave in some of the tactical stuff? That's what I'm trying to find out. Is there something wrong with a double diagonal rule like PF2E? The double diagonal rule. If it's Pathfinder, it's probably too complicated. I don't know what the double diagonal rule is. Like you can move diagonal once, but not twice. If it's that, it's too fiddly. So that would be the problem there. Yeah, that is good, but if you have like a 3 by 3 area or something like that or whatever, then it can get a little bit fiddly. But a lot of people like to play on the grid. They like to know exactly where their guy goes. Every movement method is B tier, but can we go B plus instead of B minus? I think the ones where it's like every other diagonal space is this and that, and you have to read it to remember how to do it, that is D tier. So I don't know that everything is B tier. There are some that are clearly worse than others. The ones that try to simulate actual diagonals, but using squares and spaces. Paul says the simple rule is no diagonal movement. The rest can be optional. I would do this, but my only reservation is with attacking and ranged attacks. Like if I have a bow and there's a guy who is like not in front of me, but he is like just a little bit off to the side, how do I count that? Because the arrow's not going to be doing this. The arrow's going to be doing that. So how do we count ranged attacks? So that is a real negative of the no diagonal, no adjacency. So currently I'm leaning back toward diagonals are adjacent, but you can't cut corners. I'm leaning back towards that as the admittedly imperfect, but slightly better option. It is a compromise option between, so the super fiddly rules are just out, but it's a compromise option between diagonals adjacent and not. It is somewhere in the middle. Yeah, but exceptions though. Exceptions are the thing. Could be, yeah. It is the best. Maximum tactics, it is the best. Yes, I agree. That's fine. I think you might be right, but is there a B plus tier? And what tier are we currently in? Are we currently in a B minus tier? Can we improve it at all? If we can, then let's do that. One banana. Yeah, and like we are forgetting that players who try to put up a wall or try to block, and the monster just goes just around it. Like what? That stinks. I remember I've not watched Critical Role much, but I watched one episode where the guy was like, "I'm gonna spin my action. He's disarmed," and Matt was like, "Okay, he's disarmed," and it's the bad guy's turn, and Matt just said, "I leaned down and picked my weapon back up." There was no consequence. There's no the thing that he did didn't matter, right? I'm a tank. Okay, I go up in this guy's space and I'm like, rah, like I'm in front of him and I'm blocking you. And he says, okay, whoop, I go around, like clearly taking up more movement than I have, but no, because I'm going diagonal, it doesn't matter. Don't define if diagonals are adjacent, just say you cannot move diagonally. Just do a search and replace for diagonal and just delete it out of the book. I think I'm gonna keep doing them. Yeah, like yeah, this is clearly like a table preference thing. But what I'm looking for, can I make the third of the people who won't change things happier? Barley grains. It was fresh when it shipped. Okay, what can I tell you? Sorry. Well, the good news is I think we have exhausted all of the diagonal options. I'm not seeing any new ones. Yeah, it's been a bit. Yeah, it's been a bit. I've been head down working. Yeah, I've been working a lot. Yeah, that's fine. I maybe I was overstating how much it was a cheese to do it, because if the wall's in your face, then it does matter. It just doesn't feel right to how certain directions decrease or increase range. Yeah, it's not perfect. Yeah, it's definitely not perfect. It is the easiest until you start talking about ranged attacks. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Wes. Yeah, so left mouse, yeah, you bring up an interesting point because jumping should allow you to move. Like there should be a benefit in jumping. You jump, you can move diagonally. That was another thing that I wanted to mention. Jumping or cheating or flying, you can move diagonally. You get extra movement without having to be 10 movement. You sort of get this quasi extra movement. I really like that. I'm going back to diagonals are not adjacent. Okay. Okay. Because that is such a cool thing. Jumping and flying. Okay. You cannot move. Okay. Jumping and flying. I think this is very cool. I think this is very cool. You can only move diagonally. I missed that part initially. I feel like weapons not being diagonal is not good. Yeah, so maybe so this is a middle ground, and this is a different middle ground. So these are two different middle grounds. Middle ground. Whoop, whoop. These are the two options right now that I think are equally cool. I feel like weapons not being diagonal is not good, and saying weapons are diagonally adjacent but movement isn't diagonally adjacent is too fiddly. Diagonals being adjacent just makes sense. It does. You're not wrong. But if that character's trying to kill you or stab you if you get too close, well, then it's you can't like really cut into their space. If they're friendly, there's room for one simple rule, and then obviously people are still going to play how they want. So again, we're just looking for the default rule for people who don't want to fiddle. I think only for movement. I think only for movement here. Like we're trying to hit the middle ground rather than trying to reshape AoEs and attacks and all of that, which I think is cool, but maybe trying to change too much. Maybe just movement. Even as goes play adjacent with gridless is a bit, yeah. Simply place the moving character at the desired location, but move it back a distance equal to the estimated obstacle. The way tables handle diagonals in general is going to be all over. Oh, okay. It is a step in the right direction. I think this is a step in the right direction also. So the fiddliness with this is, does this object count as a wall or a thing or an X that I can't? It's like where sometimes I can and sometimes I can't move diagonally. Right. And then this exception here is a cool flavor thing, like a bun can jump or a frog can jump diagonally. Or a cheat maybe can. That's neat. Like a neat little bonus without like, oh, you can jump, except you can jump further than you can run. And Wiggins, the enemy base is down. Chud, yes, yes. It solves some of them, but it introduces some of its own. Fiddly. Oh man. Just movement, yeah. Just movement. You cannot move diagonal. Yep, yeah. So I'm trying to worry about this right now so that when GMs are at the table, they can just say, here. There must be a default, I think. I think there must be a default assumption. I don't know how useful a poll would be here. This is sort of just like trying to gauge my design sense. A poll would likely just show like what players are currently doing and not players who are open to one thing versus another if the rule was a default. So polls are useful tools, but they are not. They don't help for everything. So can't cut corners and movement, not this or that. They are middle grounds. Yes, they are admittedly middle grounds. Why is this? They are admittedly middle grounds. I will agree to that. Offset grid. I've never heard of that, Joel. I thought I've heard of everything. Tell me about offset grid. Diagonals require a roll. No, then it'll just physically take longer. I want to move diagonal. Okay, roll. If you have to roll whenever you move, then things take longer. Yeah. We did solve that one though, Edward. We landed in a good spot for that, for the feet versus meters and stuff. Isometric maps. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just sort of squooshed. But that was a productive stream, and so the people still hanging on this long, I appreciate you. We are admittedly getting into Noodly area. I tried to say all the new stuff up front, and people want to stick around and watch all the way to the end. Then they can get all this cat character creation. I think eliminating diagonal movement would really turn a lot of people off from Nimble, even if there are alt rules. You think so? Oh, Edward and Matt both think so. Interesting. Nimble is too simple for me. So you think people would say, so diagonals not being adjacent would make it more tactical, but you think that would give people the impression that it is less tactical? Yeah, there is a spread of optional rules already, and I was planning on having optional rules about this. Yeah, that might just be what we have to do. Just leave it alone and then have some optional rules. Maybe have a call out in the core rules. So like, hey, this is the default rule because it's easiest. But in the optional rules section, there are some more tactical and different kinds of things depending on how fiddly how much fiddliness you're willing to put up with. Yeah. I don't think that's how D&D does it, but I also haven't played D&D recently or kept up with all their 2024 stuff. Offset grid is a grid, but every other column is offset by half space. Oh, okay. Oh, that's super interesting, Joel. That's super interesting. Let me see. You can tell I'm getting tired because I'm getting slouchier in my chair. Offset grid. Okay, like a brick. Like a brick pattern. Copy image. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm making an offset grid so we can see what this looks like. Oh, and you guys can see my some new mage art I just got in. I'm pretty happy with that one. So an offset grid would be here. This is almost certainly not going to be it because it's like too weird, but yeah, this is basically square hexes. I do like that. I do like that one a lot. This one is beautiful. Offset grid is nice. All right, so my guy is here, and the bad guy, who is red, is over here, sort of at an oblique angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is cool. I really do like offset grid. But then you do run into the problem of what do you do with large creatures? They're sort of like parallelograms. So this has a lot of the same benefits and drawbacks of a hex grid. That is cool. It is cool. Not something I thought of. I thought we'd seen it all. Now we've seen it all. Tactics, Ogre, and Final Fantasy Tactics both do it. Anything in range of attack so counts as a space. No diagonals on a grid space. Tactics, Ogre, and Final Fantasy Tactics both do it. Anything in range of an attack still counts on spaces. Could you clarify that, Jeff? Clarify that for me. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, Mojo space, diagonal. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want cumbersome. I moved to the J button. It can go from G to V, but not from V to D. Yeah, most engines have, yeah. So if you have a bow with range 6, you count up 6 spaces away from your unit to pick a target. Cardinal directions only. Okay, yeah. Yep. I don't think it's concerned if I can move diagonally around an opponent. Only heroes get attacks opportunity. All right, guys, I think we have beat this horse, and I think I've got a good direction. I think I'm going to leave the default here and have a call out where the default rules are. It's like, hey, if you want more tactical or more realistic or whatever, there's some optional movement rules in the back of the book. Choose the one that you like. So we're going to have the easiest, simplest, fastest, clearest ones as the default, and then optional rules, can't cut corners, and this, and that. We'll have like 2 or 3 or 4 optional rules. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. Poor horse. We're supposed to say we've fed the horse already. We've fed the fed horse instead of beat the dead horse. Is that what you're supposed to do? Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to try to be less scarce on the streams. I'm going to be doing updates regularly. So I'm going to wrap up the core rules here soon, send it to the printer for the first playtest, the first test print. Brick grid is cool. Um, and then we're this week I'm planning on doing more work with the heroes, particularly the new heroes, to make sure that they are well-rounded and well-tested, and because I need to get feedback on those before we go. We are now cutting it close with timing. The hitting the initial timing that I initially thought is going to be hard. I will just say that. It's not impossible any longer, but neither is it looking good. But that said, I'm still trying to get everything out as soon as I can because initially I was planning on just pressing reprint on this and spending this time working on the new book. Um, so I hope that's okay with everybody. If it isn't, it's not going to change anything. But I hope that's okay with everybody. But I'm not going to announce anything about that until hit that like button. I'm not going to announce anything about that until I know we can't hit it, because the boat could just get here faster than they anticipate. They give long estimates just so that nobody's disappointed. So we'll see. We'll see. We still could start shipping in October, or maybe November. We'll see. I want everything to be in your hands as soon as I can, but I want it to be good rather than fast. If I'm going to choose between those two. Okay. Appreciate you guys. I will keep plugging away, and we'll be in touch. See ya.